Alright guys, here we go. This is week 3, lesson 2. What we did at the beginning, or for the first lesson of this week, is we reviewed how to do our graphing of parabolas, where they're going up and down. Now we're going to look at the parabolas that are going to the left, or to the right. Now finding all the information, the focus, the directrix, it's all the same way. We're still going to go with the 1 over 4c equals whatever the fraction is, right? That's out in front. That's going to be the same process. It's just now we're looking at left and right. The main way to determine when it's opening to the left or to the right is look at what variable we have here. It's not squared, it's x, right? X values tell you to go to the left or right. So when we end up with an x equals, that means it opens left or right. If it's y equals, it's up or down, right? Y equals it's up when it's positive, negative when it's down. When it's opening to the right, it's positive. When it's negative, it's opening down. So that's just a couple of tips for you to think of as we go through and we eventually mix these together to figure out which way it opens. Now the steps for doing these problems, these graphs, is exactly the same. The first step is to look at it and figure out which variable do we get by itself. Again, look how complicated it would be to get this y by itself. We'd have to square root and all of this nonsense. We don't want to do that. We need to get this x by itself. It doesn't have the squared. So to get x by itself, we start by subtracting that 4 over, and we end up with this equation. X equals 1 over 4, y plus 2 squared minus 4. That's exactly where we want it, right? Again, from that point right there, we can say, oh, it's x equals. So it's either opening to the right or left. Specifically, though, since that is a positive 1/4 right there, we know it's opening to the right and not to the left. So that's just a good way of determining that. The second thing that we can do from this point in our equation is find what the vertex is. Now, this is again where you have to be smart. Think about what you're looking at here, right? We have this y plus 2 squared. Now, the main thing is it's with the y, right? So it's telling us the y coordinate. We think opposite. Y plus 2 is telling us to go down 2. But if we're just over here writing our coordinate, it's the opposite. It's with the y, so that's negative 2 for our y. So we're doing this kind of backwards. Again, the second piece on the outside here, this minus 4, is now telling us our x value. It's telling us to go left 4. We don't do the opposite. Don't do opposite here. So our x value is just going to be negative 4. And that's done. That's our vertex. It's left 4 down 2. So I'm going to go onto our graph down here. Go left 1, 2, 3, 4, down 2. Right here is our vertex. Now we've already decided it's opening to the right, so we have an idea of where to go here. But just like we did for our up and down parabolas, for our sideways parabolas, we're going to set up our 1 over 4c equals that fraction that's out in front, which is 1 over 4. You can cross multiply. 4c times 1 is 4c. 1 times 4 is 4. And end up getting that c is equal to 1. Sorry about that. But c equals 1 is telling us how far, again, we go from the vertex. Let me say vertex to focus. Right, that's our distance right there. We know it's opening to the right, so to get from our vertex to our focus, we need to go 1 to the right. So that puts us right here. Right, that is our focus. So this is a smaller graph, right? Our focus is negative 3, 1, 2, 3, negative 2. We can write that coordinate point. After that, if you remember the directrix, hold on, the directrix is just the opposite, right? And if we went right 1 for the focus, we go left 1 for the directrix. In this case, our directrix is a line that's going up or down, right? So it's a little bit different. We flipped our parabolas onto the side. We're used to them looking like this, but we have flipped them, and now we're opening to the left or to the right. Again, we need to write an equation for our directrix. Since our equation is x equals, our directrix is going to be x equals, and then you just have to figure out what does it equal for that line. So we go left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So x equals -5. The last step is finding those focal chord endpoints, right? How wide do we go? Again, you can look at this. Since it is 1 over 4, that's telling us it's 4 wide, so you would go up 2 or down 2. But what always works is this 2 times whatever c is, right? In this case, we got c is equal to 1, so we go 2 times 1 is 2, telling us from the focus, we're going to go up 1, 2, we're going to go down 1, 2, and those are your focal chord endpoints. Now let's write the coordinates. That's at -1, 2, -3, 0, and the second one is at -3, -4. Those are your focal chord endpoints. The last thing that we have to do to finish this off is just make our graph. Again, it goes through the vertex out through those focal chord endpoints, and that's kind of what our graph should look like there. Notice how it's opening to the right, but all of these steps were very similar to how we did it for up or down parabola. We're going to look at one other example. We did one going to the right. We'll look at one that's going to the left and has a little bit different number of vertex. So we look at this. Again, we start with getting that variable by itself, right? In this case, we want to get x by itself, but that's already done for us, right? We already have x by itself. Since it's x equals, again, we're saying it's either to the right or left. In this case, since that's a negative there, it's opening to the left. The second thing we can do, since that x is already by itself, is find the vertex, right? The vertex, again, is from the equation. In this case, all we have is this y, all we have is this y minus 1 right here, telling us to go opposite, which is up 1. All right, so we pop over to our vertex. We know our y value is a positive 1. We don't have anything attached on the end here. There's nothing there, which means it's 0, right? Think of that as a plus 0 right there. So our vertex is 0, 1. We can slap that on our graph and label it our vertex. We know it's opening to the left. And then again, we're going through these same steps. Every single time we set up this 1 over 4c, that equals that fraction that's out in front. So I'm going to go 1 over 4c equals -1 over 16. We cross multiply. That's -4c equals 16. Divide by -4 to get c by itself, and we get c is equal to -4. Which means that's our distance from our vertex to our focus. Since it's negative, that means we do the opposite, or instead of opening to the right, we open to the left. We go from our vertex, we're going to go left 1, 2, 3, 4. That point right there is our focus. We can write that as a coordinate point. That's at -4, 1. Again, we can find our directrix by doing the exact opposite of what we just did. From the vertex, we're going to go right 1, 2, 3, 4. That is a line just like that. Again, it's x equals because it's because it's up or down, and our equation is x equals for our directrix. This one's specifically at x equals 4 because it's to the right 4. And the last step that we need to do is find those focal chord endpoints. Again, you can look at it, it's 16, which you cut that in half, up 8, down 8, or you can always do 2 times whatever c is. In our case, it's -4, which gives us -8. The negative is just telling us it goes to the left, but we go from our focus, we're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, down 5, 6, 7, 8. Those are your focal chord endpoints, and again, from that, we can graph our parabola through our vertex. This is a wide one here, out through those focal chord endpoints. That right there would be the graph of our parabola. The last thing, let's put those coordinate points for the endpoints. That's at 4 up 9, I would assume. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep. And then the second one, same x value, -4, but now we're going down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. -4, -7. Those would be your focal chord endpoints. That was us going through a couple examples there of how we graph our sideways parabolas, right? They open left to right. Key things there. The directrix is a little bit different. We put x equals because it's opening to the left or right. We know it opens to the left or right because they end up with x equals. And then the last thing, just be careful when you're finding the vertex, right? Notice that it's a y plus 2 inside of that parenthesis. So we do the opposite, and that's telling us the y value there, okay? Instead of the x value, so you put the y value from what we got in the parentheses. That piece on the outside is then telling us the x value. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me through email or through Google Classroom, and I'll be willing to help you guys out. Make sure you try those practice problems, and if you have questions on that, reach out to me as well. Have a good day.